So the video showcased me walking around the Rolls Royce, and he goes, "Hey, what do you do for a living?" And I said, "Who, me?" He was like, "Yeah, you." I said, "Oh, well, I own a thing called the Black Wolf app." He goes, "Well, what is that?" I said, "You know what Uber and Lyft is?" He goes, "Yeah." Well, mine's the same thing as the rideshare, but the difference is we have armed drivers. When I said that, and we finished the video, he said, "Dude, we're going to become famous."
We'll discuss race and how it plays a factor, and how we didn't even talk about this topic because we were afraid.
A Black Executive Perspective.
Welcome to a Black Executive Perspective podcast, a safe space where we discuss all matters regarding race, especially race in corporate America. I'm your host, Tony Tidbit. And we talked about this before. We have a new partnership with Code M Magazine. They're a digital publication who has a major mission, which is saving the Black family by first saving the Black man. So together, Code M and BEP are going to be amplifying impactful conversations and content. So please don't forget to check out our partners at codemmagazine.com. So today we have a very exciting guest that's on. In this episode, we're joined by Kerry King Brown, the innovative creator by Black Wolf app, a trailblazing ride-sharing platform that integrates advanced security measures to redefine safety and trust in transportation. Kerry shares his journey from his early years and significant military experience to the challenges and triumphs of launching Black Wolf app. He'll delve into the entrepreneurial journey and the fundamental goal of providing users with a safer ride-sharing experience, underscoring his dedication to improving safety across the board. Kerry King Brown is founder and president of Wolf Technologies. As a seasoned close protection professional with over 13 years of experience, he excels in safeguarding high-profile individuals and physical assets. Kerry King Brown, my brother, welcome to a Black Executive Perspective podcast.
Man, I'm glad to be here, Tony. I'm glad to be here, brother.
Buddy, we're glad you could be here. And to be fair, based on your background, I feel a lot safer just with you being on the podcast, right? So again, your magic is working even from a podcast standpoint. But we're going to dive into your background, how you came up with the Black Wolf app, which is a fantastic story, how you develop it, the ups and downs of being an entrepreneur. And then more importantly, you sharing some insights to the audience, because there's a lot of people who are going to listen and watch this who are right now out there trying to get their groove on, build their business or the idea that they have. So you will be able to provide some excellent insights to be able to help them. But before we get into that, my brother, tell me a little bit about where you're living at and your family.
Well, I'm currently in Atlanta, Georgia. My family's here originally. Both parents are Caribbean. One's from Jamaica, one's from Barbados. Originally born in New York. So I'm a New York kid, Long Island. Then then my mom moved to Georgia. My father moved to Florida. So I kind of spent time in both states. I kind of reside more with Florida because of the weather. And some of the women down there. Something to look at. But hey. But I reside in Atlanta, Georgia, man. To be exact, Walton County. I live in the country. I love land. I love goat carts, man. So I just wanted my own space.
Got it. And married, kids? Tell us a little bit about that, my friend.
Yes, sir. I've been married for 3 years now. I have a 11-year-old daughter who's 36. She's older than me, actually. And I have a 3-year-old son. The joys of my life. A lot of people ask me, "Are you going to put him in sports?" Because I played sports. I'm like, no, I'm putting them in shooting and self-defense tactics, all those type of crazy things. Because again, when I get older, they need to whoop ass too. So that's how I feel.
I love it, my man. I love it. You are who you are, right? So speaking of that, why did you want to come on the Black Executive Perspective podcast to talk about this topic?
Well, I think it's time. Because I've done a lot of interviews, but doing these interviews, you don't really get to talk about the truth. You don't get to talk about, what's really on the inside. A lot of people ask me questions about the app. They don't ever ask me questions about who Kerry really is, because I go by KB. So nobody ever calls me Kerry. It's very seldom that you'll hear Kerry. So I wanted to reach a different audience. It's almost like coming home and telling the truth, or telling your side, and because people, like us, they reside with it. When you speak to a bigger scale, it's you got to speak proper. You got to talk about that only topic. You can't, take off your shirt, wear your wife beater. Just be real, brother. You know what I'm saying? You got to use politically correct words. So yeah, it's just reaching. It's reaching those who need to be reached.
Got it, my man. And listen, I love that. And if it's okay, because I feel like, we've chatted multiple times, so I feel a little bit like family. So is KB okay? Can I call you
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
KB?
I love
All
KB.
right, bro. So you ain't,
My
I'm a
mom.
nickname dude, right? So KB, I'm Tony Tidbit. So KB works, all right? So I'm gonna definitely call you KB, and I definitely hear you, my friend. So look, we want you to, take your shirt off, not literally, but we want you to relax and open up and share. And we want to understand who the real KB is, and more importantly, the things that you're doing and making successful. So, KB, are you ready to have this conversation?
Man, are you ready?
I am, buddy. So let's talk about it. So listen, you had told me a story that ever since you were 5 years old, you were always about safety. You don't know where it comes from. So tell the audience a little bit about your early years, how, where you came up, and where did safety and trying to protect others come from?
I've always felt like I was chosen, to do something. Everybody feels chosen to do something. We all have gifts and we all have talents. Like I told you, my mom, she was cleaning. We had a above ground pool, and she was cleaning it, and I had to plug something in, and there was water inside the pool, and she said, "If you drop it, I'm going to get electrocuted." And I said, "Hell no, over my dead body." And from that day, just me playing around, and just at 5 years old saying that, and I was holding it like this because I didn't want anything to happen to my mother. That was the first time I noticed, okay, I'm a protector. I'm 5 years old. I can't lift weights. I'm not strong. I'm not a man.
Hmm.
But something inside of me said, you're going to be a protector. So growing up, I used to hate seeing poor people on the streets. I hated, especially those who look like us. I hated seeing the signs. I hated seeing families. I hated seeing kids without clothes, and I always wanted to protect them. I didn't know how. I didn't, but something spiritually inside of me, from 5 years old, was like, you're going to protect people. And there's many ways you can protect people, many, 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 many ways. So yeah, so at the age of 5, man, it really came in, and that's before sports, to be
Right,
honest with you.
right. Do you have any siblings at all, my friend?
Oh yeah, I'm the baby of my family.
So when it comes to protection, and I love the story, your mother, hey, fall into the pool, I'm gonna get electrocuted, and you're like, not on my watch, and you've been that way ever since. But how is that relationship with your siblings, especially with you being the younger individual?
Whew. I'll tell you like this, man. My relationship with my siblings, me being the baby, of course, when you're the baby, they'll treat you a certain way or whatnot. But one thing I've learned from my siblings, I've learned from all their mistakes. I've learned what not to do. And I've learned, hey, do that and you go this direction. So me being the youngest in our relationship, it was kind of strained. I'm not gonna lie, because we grew up in the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
They made their own decisions, and they used to say, "Oh, mommy shelters you." Actually, not. She did, because a parent knows which one of their children are going to become very successful.
Mm-hmm.
That's a fact. So my mom, she saw something in me, but the good thing is I had self motivation. So we have grown apart. Me and my the youngest sister, we've grown very close as I got into my adulthood, because we started to realize that we are very mature, we're very alike, we're hustlers, we're go getters, we're providers. People may treat us wrong, So I love my brothers and sisters, but it's like when God has you on a path, you can't really coincide with everybody, and it's
Mm-hmm.
gonna show. And they get jealous of you. You've been through that. They get jealous of you, even though you're trying to do the right thing.
Mm-hmm.
it's a spiritual thing. They think you're the hot stuff, and it's not that way. So I respect my brothers and sisters, but I'm on this path where I can't take them. I love them. They see this journey, and I hope they respect it. But I'm a grown man. I'm gonna keep on pushing because I have a goal and I have a why.
Okay, my friend. So, listen, yeah, I love when you talked about the spiritual path and you spoke a little bit about being a high achiever and a go giver. Tell us a little bit of how you ended up in the military, and what were you doing then?
Well, that's a funny story. I actually contracted with the military, right? So I went in with under the Navy SEALs, and how that happened was I was already with Gavin de Becker. I was already in my private security academy. Um, I wanted more. I wanted to learn more. I wanted to have more credentials because what I was realizing in the private sector world, there's not a lot of people that look like me and you. There's not. We don't get the accolades. We don't get the achievements. And if we do, you got to spend 30 or 40 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't want to do that. I wanted to be the best of the best. I wanted to be the example. I wanted to be the face of security. I still do. So again, I went after things that were challenging. I went after things that would put me over everybody else
Mm-hmm.
because I realized that in the hip hop world, you got to be 6'6", 6'7", 6'3", 6'4", and I'm not that. I realized in the other world, you got to have a CPP certifications, a WPS, a PSS, a C, all these different things. And I'm like, okay, I'm good at what I do, but why do I need a piece of paper that's going to tell a client, hey, I can actually do this? Where I can get a piece of paper and lie to the client. So again, it was certain things that were in my way that I had to accomplish. So again, when they see my resume and they see my name, they're impressed. But when they see my face, it's like, wow, okay, we can match it up with your face. So I realized that. I realized that young in the industry, in the security industry, that if you look a certain way and your credentials don't match and you're really good, it doesn't matter. So we're in an industry where it's cliquish. It's
Mm-hmm.
very cliquish.
Mm-hmm.
It's who you know.
Mm-hmm.
Again, that's why I had to put myself in a different boat. I couldn't be like everybody else. I didn't want to be a Walmart security guard. I couldn't do that.
So back up a little bit because what I'm hearing is when you went in the military, you had already started your path on security. Is that
Mhm.
correct? So
Yes,
tell us
sir.
a little bit. How did that part get started? How did that you
Oh,
get
okay.
started
Well,
with that?
I've been doing security man since 14.
Okay.
Right. My first job was with the old mayor of Atlanta. They were having a reception, and I was at the door. And people were looking at me like, man, you're a big kid. At this time I was 14 years old. I was probably like maybe 225 pounds, but I was always big. And that was called static security. I was a door guy with a freaking Magdawan and yink, yink, yink. But for some apparent reason, I loved it.
Mm,
I love talking to people, and they're like, "Man, you're a good young man. You know what you're doing." And that day, I realized people were watching me because after the shift, the guy gave me a $500 tip. He's like, "You did your job. I like that." So I realized, okay, this is what I want to do other than football.
mm,
I'm big, I'm strong, I'm athletic, I'm fast, I love people, love talking, I have the gift of gab. Well, why not? So it evolved from 15 years old, 16 years old, 17 years old. So as I was playing football, I was finding gigs and doing it and doing it. When I got really serious, I was probably around, I say 19.
mm,
At 19 years old, like I said, I was in college, University of Miami, but at 19 years old, it was either or. It was either or. So at 19, I started getting my certifications, going to the gun range, learning how to shoot, putting myself around Marines, Army Rangers, Deltas, SEALs, because something about it intrigued me.
mm.
It
And,
just intrigued me.
and when you said it intrigued you, was there a sense of a belonging? Was there like a sense of innate sense of this is my passion, this is what I was put on the planet to do? Talk a little bit about that.
All right, so I'm gonna become very arrogant right now.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the feeling was this. The feeling was I'm better than everybody else. This is too easy. Even though I may not be. That's what I told myself. I'm like, no, I want to be the greatest. I want to be the face of this. So that feeling was so strong. When I say it was stronger than football, it was strong because I can go to sleep and do security. That's how easy it is to me. No matter what I've done, every type of security, I've been overseas.
Hmm.
So, and I always tell people like, man, I'm universal when it comes to this. I can do anything and every single thing. I'm a chameleon. I can adapt to it. So when to answer your questions, like, no, I didn't. Yeah, I felt it, but I was like, it was like I was a god in this industry, and I've always felt that way. Again, and I may not be, but that's what I tell myself. That's how I feel, because this industry doesn't have a face. Like I told you, when you think of basketball, you think of LeBron, you think of Jordan, you think of everybody, you think of golf. Everything has a face, but security. I want to be the face of security. I want when people think of security, I'm the first person they think about because I want to make it. I want to make it popular.
Got
I
it.
want to make this like the shit. I want people to be like, when I grow up, I want to do security.
And so when you were saying, let's back up a little bit because I want to make sure we're all on the same page when we say security. All right. So define what you're doing from a security standpoint. And then the second question I'm going to ask you is you said that, hey, I thought this was easy. So, and then what part of that you thought was easy and it wasn't as big as you thought?
Oh, getting clients. You're gonna think that's easy. It is not easy.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I've been in every sector. Hip hop clients. It's easy to get, but it's not easy to keep
Right.
because they don't look at you as a valuable asset.
Right.
They look at you as something that okay, I can get another one of you tomorrow.
A commodity in a
When you're
ways.
talking
Right.
about some celebrities treat you the same exact way. You get paid more money, but they treat you like shit.
Right.
The best clients I've ever been around are either athletes or politicians.
Got it.
They're just in a different bracket.
So when you talk security, you're talking personal security of individuals, right? Bodyguard, stuff to
Oh
that
yeah,
nature.
yeah, yeah.
That
So
so
that's
that's
close
basically
protection.
what you're talking about from a
Yeah,
security
that's close
standpoint.
protection.
So
The
close
best,
protection. Go ahead.
yeah, the best security. One of the best securities I've ever done was director of security. Obviously, that's a little bit easier. But I love what's called production security.
Okay.
So production security is when I was with Netflix and Kevin Hart. You're pretty much over the venue. You run everything. When I'm on tour, I'm in charge of the whole entire tour. So you run everything. When I went overseas and we have 250 expats, I was in charge of everybody. Now it's a headache. Now, of
Mm-hmm.
course, you're going overseas. It's laws and things you have to, things you have to do. But when I'm over a certain amount of people, that's a lot easier. It's a lot less headaches, but it's a lot more stress.
Mm-hmm.
That's where you really know you're good in the security industry. When you're able to control and operate more than 10 people and yourself and communicate with the client and do all the paperwork and oversee all the paperwork, that's when you know, okay, this is a gift or it's a talent. There's a big difference.
And who was your first, person that you did security for?
Celebrity or just first person?
Either one. Just tell me and tell me what that experience was.
I've been around Mayor Kasim Reed.
Okay.
Um, and it's different because when you're talking about political members, they're regular. They're just regular people, regular people.
And
It's just the amount of
this is the mayor of Atlanta?
well, he was long
Okay.
time ago.
Got it.
We have a
Got it.
new
Got it.
mayor.
Got it.
Yeah,
Got it.
this was a long time ago.
Got it.
Another person like loving hip hop. I was around Rashida. She's a rapper.
Mm-hmm.
Been around her. But again, it really comes in the territory of who your client is. I'm a type of guard where I have a personality. I can't protect you if we can't talk. If we don't have a communication, and you're so to the point where I have to be a standing board. I can't do that, So that, most of my clients, they love me. They'll text me, and I'm talking about famous people, famous people. They will text me and they're like, "KB, what you up to?" And I'm talking to them like they're my friend, you know.
So speak to that a little bit, right? Because, obviously the layman person, including myself, we're not hanging around politicians and celebrities and rappers and basketball stars and movie stars and stuff of that nature. Are they open to chatting or are some of them just standoffish? Talk a little bit about that.
Well, I mean, majority of them are standoffish
Hmm.
because of their management team. So a lot of them are brands themselves, so they can't associate with certain things. So if you're able to get into the inner circle, they allow you in. But can you pull them out? No.
Got it. Got it. Got it. So they're gonna stay within their
Yeah,
brand
yeah,
and
yeah.
stuff to that nature. And then in terms of the protection that you provide them, so let's use Kevin Hart. You spoke about Kevin Hart or the mayor. What typically are you looking for? Are you keeping people away? Are you talk a little bit about the procedures and processes?
So when it comes to close protection, there's a lot of different things that you're going to look for. Obviously, you have to keep your principal safe. Obviously,
Hmm.
then there's some things called advancing logistics. And advancing means it's the same thing as doing a close protection. You're just getting to the whatever arena that they're supposed to get there. You're getting there first. You're checking it out. You're making sure there's nothing in the rooms. You're making sure there's nobody in the rooms. You're looking for all the exits, the entrances points, safe rooms. So you're like a concierge butler with a gun, if that makes sense, or you got hands, so you're pretty much like a high paid babysitter.
Got it. Got it.
Anybody would tell you
But
that. You're
with a
just a
gun, with a gun, right? With a gun.
basically, and you can bust
Okay,
ass.
making sure nothing happens, checking out the scene before they get there. Just and you're in a and if tell me if I'm wrong here. And doing your job well is staying out of the way. Is that correct? So in
That is
other words,
correct.
making sure being visible but being invisible. Is that correct?
So that's called covert.
Okay.
So yeah.
Talk to us a little bit about covert.
So I mean, you have some celebrities that want you close to them. Then you have some celebrities who like covert. Like I'll give you an example, like Deontay Wilder, right, the famous boxer. He's more covert. So he does not want you close to him because again, he can fight. He's gonna knock everybody out. He wants to feel safe, but he doesn't want to feel like he's pressured or you're claustrophobic. He's not like that. A lot of females are a little bit different. Kim Kardashian, Jennifer Aniston, the ones who I've been around, Viola Davis, those are more close because they're females. You understand what I'm saying? So it's really depending on the client. But covert is I'm gonna give you some space. I'm gonna walk with you. A person may not even know I'm with you, but if they come close to you, that's when you see that wolf come out. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, so some clients like it. Some clients even like overt, which is totally different.
You're gonna send the wolf? Oh, okay, Negro.
Yeah,
That's all you had to say. All right. Is that what
exactly.
your clients? Is that the communication between their
Yes, sir.
management team and your team? They send in the wolf, and everybody feels
Yeah,
good.
you're damn right, brother.
I love it. I love it. So, buddy, you've been doing security 5 years old. Okay. You enjoy it. You get a high off of it, and more importantly, you want to be the best at it. Okay. You started out on a local level. Tell us real quickly before we go to how you develop Black Wolf. How did you get your first client? And then how did you move from, maybe somebody, a friend or a local celebrity to getting to, LeBron and Kevin Hart and all these guys?
So, so it's just like so security is just like any other entrepreneurial job. Let me put it that way. It's not like a W-2. Um, when you're good at your craft and you keep going, you pray, you have faith, but you show the works and you keep grinding, you keep getting your name out there, it will come eventually. It will come. When you put yourself around the right people, mentors in this industry, they're gonna look at you and be like, all right, young blood, I'm gonna give you a shot. And that's what really happened. I just kept going. I kept my mouth shut. Even though I saw some guys doing it the wrong way, I said, yeah, I'm not gonna do it that way. But again, it's about loyalty in this industry. Even though there's no loyalty in the security industry. None. It's very cutthroat. But that's how I did it. I kept the faith, and I just kept walking, and I kept trying, and I kept trying, and eventually I got to one client. I did great. I got another client. I did great. And I got a little bit better. Then I put some swag on it. I had to put my own swag on it, and then people knew me by KB, and then we started going into the Black Wolf execs and creating that brand and creating the name and people getting to know me a little bit more because of how I treat people.
When you talk about you put some swag on it, tell us a little bit more about what you mean by that, my brother.
So swag is really personality and attitude and how they allow me to dress. I would always wear a polo, tactical polo, but I always look good. So like I remember one time I was with what is his name? I was with Jay-Z's camp, right? And we went out to lunch, and we went to Nobu, right? And they were looking at me, and they were just kept staring at me, and they were like, "Damn, they think you famous or something." I'm like, "I don't know what it is." A girl came up to me. She was like, "What do you do? Like, do you play football or I know you're a celebrity." I said, "No, the hell I'm not. I do security." She's like, "Oh my!" So it was an aura. It's how you carry yourself. And that was the most beautiful thing, because it's like when you carry yourself well, when you treat people well, it's like God puts an aura around you, so people will look at you and be like, "Man, you look like you do something." It's something that you kind of create. It's kind of unexplainable, But yeah, so that's how I did it, man. I wanted to do things different in the game. I want to treat people how I treat my children.
But buddy, I love it because what I'm hearing is attitude. Okay, is that hey, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to be the best at it, and I'm going to put my personality on it. I'm going to look the part where people see that I belong. Right, regardless if I'm the security guy here, they see me as being on the same level as the people that I'm protecting. So that is awesome, and so talk to us, and I just love it because I believe that and we'll chat about this a little later, but having a positive attitude and attacking and being who you are, that's how you move forward in life, okay? Not trying to be anybody else, being yourself and bringing that energy, that attitude and you built your own brand, which is awesome. So tell us, what made you start Black Wolf app?
Hmm. So the Black Wolf app came about. I was finishing a detail over in Nigeria, and I came back to America, and I was doing a detail for a young woman and her daughter that was caught in sex trafficking. She was caught for about 2.5 years, almost 3 years, so she had a child out of that. And I used to drive her back and forth to work. And my last day, she said, "I don't even want you to leave." She goes, "But since you are, can you create some type of transportation?" She goes, "If I need you, she knows thousands of people. She goes, "I want you to create some type of transportation for people like me and my daughter.
Mm-hmm.
We need help." I said, "Huh, okay. I don't know what the hell I'm going to do. I don't have any money for no vehicles. I do, but I'm not going to buy them." And my brain, when I went home, it was like God put something inside of me, says, "Now think." And I said, "Okay, Tony, when I tell you in 45 minutes, I created a PDF file of transportation for human trafficking victims. And an hour later, I found the company to make the app. And my wife, she was watching me. She said, "How the hell you do that?" I said, "Man, I don't know." But I sat there she filmed me.
Mm-hmm.
She was filming me, and I was sitting on the computer just typing and typing and typing. And she was like, it was like a ghost took over your body. I said, "That's the Holy Spirit. That's what the hell that was." you know. so again, that's how it started. That's how Black Wolf app
Mm-hmm.
came about. It didn't come about as a rideshare. It has nothing to do with the rideshare. It evolved into that. We have to use technology, but it evolved from human trafficking. How
Mm-hmm.
do I protect human traffic victims?
And to be fair, just because when people hear human trafficking, they're thinking sex trafficking. They're thinking from a negative standpoint. What you're
Yeah,
saying is from a positive, protective standpoint, correct?
right.
Exactly. Okay, so you developed it 45 minutes, hour, found somebody an hour later to develop the app. And then, buddy, if I remember correctly, you started promoting it. Tell us a little bit about how you started promoting it, and then what happened after you started promoting it.
Well, first of all, I didn't just promote nothing. Let me tell you right now. I didn't do a doggone thing. What happened was me and my buddy PK.
Okay.
I reached out to him and said, "Hey man, I need help." He goes, "I'm going to redo your website." Paid him to redo the website, and he fell in love with it. He goes, "Man, this is a great idea." He goes, "Let's put it to work." When I say me, he came up with a couple of ideas. Now watch this, Tony. I went to my buddy who owns Dreams Exotics. I went and got a Rolls Royce Cullinan, which is the Rolls Royce truck, right? And I got it, and I said, "We're gonna do videos." We did one in a Maybach, and we did one in a Rolls Royce. He's never posted a Maybach, and to this day I'm pissed, but it's okay. He said there's a thing on TikTok. He goes, you need to create a TikTok. I said, dude, I'm not creating no TikTok. He goes, we can go viral. And we did one video, bro. We
What
did
was the
one video.
what was in the video though? So what did the video showcase?
So the video showcased me walking around the Rolls Royce. He goes, hey, what do you do for a living? And I said, who, me? He was like, yeah, you. I said, oh, well, I own a thing called the Black Wolf app. He goes, well, what is that? I said, you know what Uber and Lyft is? He goes, yeah. Well, mine's the same thing, it's a rideshare, but the difference is we have armed drivers. When I said that, and we finished the video, he said, dude, we're going to become famous. I said, dude, no, we're not. And he went home, he edited it. We, at 11:58, we created a TikTok. At 11:58 p.m., 6 o'clock in the morning, he calls me. We went viral. Now I'm looking at my phone. What the hell are you talking about? So I hung up on him. He texted me. We had 3 million views. I was like,
wow.
what the hell? 9 o'clock, he called me. We had 13 million views. I said, yo, by 2, 3 o'clock, that thing was over 30 million. That same day, we got called by Atlanta First News, then Fox, CNN, C-SPAN, Newsmax, Fox and Friends, Fox Business. We got call from South Africa, Australia, Dubai, Qatar, the UK, Switzerland. Then I was on every single news station in the country. And this all happened with one video. And from that, it just kept going and kept going and kept going and kept going until I started meeting certain people. Shaquille O'Neal hit me up. I was like, oh, snap, this is Big Diesel. And when he called, he said, hey, little fella. He was like, where you at? I said, we're in Atlanta. Well, that's good. I like this. I'm watching you. And he gave me some very encouraging words. He goes, just understand that you as a young black man, he goes, it's not going to be easy. He goes, what you created is genius. He goes, but it's not going to be easy. You're going to have a lot of haters. He goes, so please be prepared. He goes, one day I will take a ride with you. He goes, but I want to let you know I'm proud of you. He was the first celebrity to ever hit me up. The first. I'm just like, oh, snap. Then we got hit up by like Dr. Dre. And I'm just like, the Kardashians. I was like, what the? Pretty much everybody, like almost every. I know a lot of rappers, Rick Ross, and T.I., and Jeezy. Then the political members, Donald Trump, his son. And then we're talking about actors, Kevin Hart, Mark Wahlberg, Viola Davis. I was like, Denzel, his son. I'm like,
All these people
oh.
reached out to you and they were like, this is all. And then they wanted to do what? Be a part of it or be a
They want to be a part of it, but they more so wanted to take a ride. They were like, this is genius. Listen, I had to sit down with the president of Amazon and the chairman of Legendary Studios. These are two big wigs. They said, Mr. King Brown, let me tell you something. You've created the most dominant rideshare app. They said, but this was 23. They said, but you're pretty much ahead of your time. They said you created something that's needed. And they said, also remember this, you created something that's just not a rideshare. And I said, I know. And even me telling you now, a lot of people don't even know what all that I have inside of this rideshare. It's not just a rideshare, man. This is the foundation is security and protection. But again, I sat down with these big wigs and they said, we'd rather hire you than pay these companies in California $50,000 just for two guys, no vehicle. That's just for them to sit outside the house. I said, well, I can give you the same thing with an app in a vehicle. They said, huh? I said, yep. They said, how much money do you want? I said, what do you mean? They said, we'll hire you right now. I said, no, I'm not in California. I said, ma'am, I just went viral. Let me tell you, Tony, when we went viral, we had almost 3,000 ride requests in a week.
No. So were you able to, facilitate any of those?
Man, no.
So this was just people were excited about the idea. They were excited about the video. They thought this was great. You met with the presidents of Amazon and they said, hey, buddy, you put something together, but it's a little ahead of its time, right? So people were reaching out. They were excited. Some people even wanted to hire you, but you wasn't ready yet to be able to take it to that level. Is that what we're hearing?
Yep. Because this was a viral story.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even have a car when it went viral. You know what I had to do, Tony? I went up to my dealership, Jim Ellis, here in Atlanta, and they gave me a car. and I was doing rides like that. I didn't even own a car, or I didn't own an SUV. I was literally renting cars because of the attraction we wanted.
So you
Uh,
started implementing it slowly but surely, little by
yeah,
little, right? So you
yeah.
used the viral success to start slowly implementing. Now, did you have and you're saying, hey, I got to rent cars and I got to do this, but you're living your dream, you're building this up. Did you have people that wanted to invest in the organization and the company and stuff to that nature?
I mean, we have thousands of people that said, "Hey, I want to invest. I want to invest." And at that time, we weren't even looking for investors
Mm-hmm.
because we were just so sprung up off of what had happened.
Mm-hmm.
If we were ready at that time, if we had vehicles, if we had other states open, we did our calculations. I would have had at least 10 million right now, easy,
Mm.
sitting on 10 million because we had our first week we had 80,000 downloads.
Wow. So people were ready. So again, here's something that takes off, right? In the blink of an eye. People are like, I want it. It's not ready yet. It's not fully baked, right? But if it was, to your point, it would have just, it still would be, matter of fact, I'd probably be on a waiting list because you already had a million other media companies reach out and interview you and stuff to that
Mhm.
nature. So we might be a BEP might be waiting the next year to chat with you. Okay. So tell us what happened after that, man, because although your idea took off and you started slowly building your business, even though you had to rent cars, but you started taking it to the next level. What happened next?
Started learning. I started learning what a tech company really is, what it takes, and then I learned a valuable lesson when you create something new. You're gonna step on people's toes.
Mm,
You're gonna anger a lot of different people because again, the industry I'm in is very cutthroat, and there's certain people who they say run it. And when somebody's small, when somebody who doesn't look like them does something that brings in the attention of the world, or you're getting more attention than they ever have.
and
They
it's a,
may make
I was going to say, it's a little bit of what Shaq told you. So it was a little
yeah,
bit of the stuff that he foretold you. Sorry to cut you off, but
yeah.
you made a point about that. He said, look, they're going to come after you. It's not going to be easy. So you started experiencing that. Is that correct?
So like I said, I learned very quickly because again, when I was 18 years old, I told God, make me the greatest example. And I'm 33 now, and what I've been going through since last year, I'm like, so this is what it is. This is the burden. This is my cross, and it has to be because again, when it became very successful, of course, somebody had to go and make a news story about me, and they said false things about me, and did they even interviewed me, but they lied because when they interviewed me, they said, oh no, this is just a recap. And when that red light went on, it was a whole different ball game, man. I mean, I was accused of operating an illegal security company. I was accused of endangering people. Um, and at first, I laughed at it, but then it started to hurt me. It started to hurt our rise. It started to hurt our fan base because people were believing what they heard and what they saw.
Right.
They actually did two news stories on me. It didn't work, but it has hindered investors because again, when you Google it, it's like that's one of the first things you see. But if you have common sense, you know it's not true.
So we have just a small clip of one of the interviews that you had. We're going to play it real quick, and I just want to get your reaction to it.
A few months earlier, the Fox 5 team talked with Kerry King Brown after his Black Wolf app idea had taken the nation's cable news media by storm.
Being shot, who are getting robbed, who are getting raped? The general public.
King Brown said his new rideshare company provides armed drivers to protect worried riders from the dangers of the world.
So that's just a small clip. So when that happened, you had all this success, and then I think this was the reporter that kind of sabotaged you, if I remember
Mhm.
correctly, right? Who reached out and was like a fan, and all of a sudden he caught you by surprise, and then started asking you questions. Speak a little. You spoke a little bit about it, but
Mhm.
tell us a little bit about what happened after this was shown on television.
Well, I got tons of emails. So after that, that's when a lot of people started showing the true colors.
Mm.
I've had people reach out to me, call me the N word. I had people reach out to me, said that you're going to fail. People on LinkedIn who are in the security industry said this is why black men should not have security companies. My name has been circulated as something called the ASIS, where they talk bad about me. They say don't hire him. There's certain jobs that I applied like last year, just to bring in some more income, and they denied me because of what people have been saying. When we tried to open up California, they rejected me because of this news article. They told me I would have to pay $100,000 in the down payment. So I have been rejected and kicked and stomped and talked about, lied about, and like I said, it's done a lot, And I tell people like this is, and I prayed. I said, God, this is heavy. This is heavy because what I want to do is protect people. Now I feel like I'm the one that needs protection. So how does that work? So again, it has hindered a lot, and that was last year, but I'm still here because the second clip that they did was I was with Donald Trump and I was with Marjorie Taylor, and I saw him down there. I saw the same news reporter, and I looked at him and I winked, and he looked at me. He was furious because everything he said wasn't working. And they were like, "Well, how could a man who doesn't have a license?" And it's funny. I said, "You need to do your research. You should see how many licenses I have." And I said, "Here's the thing: you cannot be with a sitting political congressman or a former president without any license. Do you really think you're going to get into the government and protect a sitting official without having a license? That doesn't make any sense." I said, "You actually need a clearance to even walk into a congressional meeting or congressional halls or congressional room." That's a fact. You can Google that. So, and I have pictures proving that's what I was doing. So now that people are starting to see and do their due diligence, they're like, wait a minute,
Let's back up on that, buddy, because you said a couple of things, and I want it first, and I'm backing all the way up, but I want to stick a pen here just for a second. So you were saying earlier when we first kicked off the podcast, you were like, hey, you don't see a lot of people that look like me in this industry, okay? That's at least running this industry, right? It's a cutthroat industry. It's there's no loyalty. It's every man for himself, okay? And all of a sudden, this young black guy who's very smart, has a lot of swag, built his brand with his clients, and came up with a fantastic idea that took off. Right? Where within a few hours, you were a well-known commodity and everybody was calling you. All right. And everybody had an idea and people actually wanted to work with you thinking that your company, your idea was up and running. And here's the kicker. If I remember correctly, you had interviewed with a ton of media, CNN, the whole 9 yards, everybody, right? And then all of a sudden you had this situation. And the reason I want to stop here for a second. Do you feel, because now all of a sudden this person that now has a face, a black person, black male, that has a face to this new security, to this new idea that everybody's taking off, do you feel that this individual targeted you? And I'm going to ask you for two reasons. I just want to hear your thought process, okay? Do you feel that was an issue? You, number one, being an African-American entrepreneur, somebody is taking off. So is this real with him? We got to look into this. And then number two, the political figures that you work with, a Donald Trump, a Marjorie Taylor Greene, that are, not more the likable individuals, okay? Do you feel that also had an issue in terms of the vitriol and the venom that people kind of, came at you with?
I mean, yeah, it goes both ways because again, I've gotten emails saying that you're a black Republican, you shouldn't be you're with the wicked witch, you're with Donald Trump, he's racist. So I've heard it all. I tell people, you don't know what racism is until you go into Washington, D.C. You have no clue until you get around the richest of the people who control the world. It's not even called racism. You understand what I'm saying? So it's like I know the insides and I know the outsides. Was this planned attack? Yes. Do I have the proof? Yes. It's to the point again where you shook up the industry,
Mm-hmm.
and you have nappy hair. We don't want that. That's not good for us because I've gotten so many phone calls, Tony, where they said, "Man, you took my idea." Yeah, that's
Yeah,
you
for
had
real. Yeah.
years and years and years to do it. It's not
Yeah,
that hard.
exactly. Exactly.
But what God gives for you is for you.
Mm-hmm.
So it's both. And it's funny, the guy who I was licensed under in the state of Georgia, he turned on me because they paid him because he was doing something illegal, and they reached out to him and said, "Hey man, if you don't switch, we're gonna take you under." And I have all that proof.
Mm.
So when like I said, when I do my documentary and I reveal everything, they're gonna look so dumb. They're gonna be like, "Oh crap, he had to go through that." Yeah, but here's the thing, though. So did Christ, man. Can you imagine? God basically said, "Nah, you gotta die." Why? It don't matter. You gotta die. So it's like I'm not Christ, but it's the fact that we who are chosen, and when you're on something great, you pretty much you gotta die.
Mm.
Let me just be 1,000 with you.
Let me ask you this, buddy. One thing that's been consistent throughout this conversation that we're having, and other conversations that I've had with you, is your spirituality, right? You believe in Christ. Your spirit man is very important to you. It keeps you uplifted. Talk a little bit more about that.
Well, I mean, I grew up Caribbean, so when I used to go to church, they used to be dancing. I'm like, what the heck is this? You know what I'm saying? So I grew up that way because, again, I truly believe those who grow up less fortunate, you have to draw to something to survive.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like when we were slaves, we used to sing. So they were like, well, how are you slave? How are you getting beaten and your children are being sold, but you're still happy? What is all the singing about? So that's a spiritual thing that we have in us naturally,
Mm-hmm.
and I mean, not just us, but it's more dominant on us. So growing up, seeing how my mom struggled, how my father struggled, and the old heads, they said, man, pick up that Bible. That thing is real.
Mm-hmm.
And I challenged myself. When I was 18, we were dirt poor. We were getting kicked out of our 14th house in the state of Georgia.
Mm.
And I said, God, I'm tired of losing all these homes. And I read the whole book from front to back. Now, did I understand the whole thing? No. But one thing I took out of the Bible was the scripture where it says, "Though it may tarry, and it shall come to pass." It says, "Write it down on a tablet. Though it may tarry, it shall come to pass." And when I got older, I realized what it meant. That's patience. What
Mm.
I realized is when God gives you something, and you write it down, and you follow His commandments, you follow His deeds, it shall come to pass. But you just don't know when. And that's my biggest thing. I don't have patience. And let me tell you something, Tony. I remember one time I sat in the car and I cussed God out. I said, "Let me tell you something. I'm gonna tell you what the hell's on my mind." And but that's how I felt. And as I got older, I'm a father now, and patience. So everything takes time.
Mm-hmm.
Every single thing takes time, and there's nothing easy because again, you have good and you have evil. You
Mm-hmm.
have day, you have night. And even where I'm at now, I learned that from my first client to my last client, and I'm learning that through the Black Wolf app.
Mm-hmm.
This is something that God gave me. Because if it wasn't for Him, nobody would know my name.
Mm-hmm.
Millions of people know my name, and it's so funny because I said, God, make me the greatest example. I said I want people to know who I am. They know who I am. He never said everything was going to be good, and you know what I'm saying. So it's like sometimes we got to be careful what we ask for because He will do it, and we don't even realize it.
Buddy, you're a very positive brother, my brother, and I love you a lot, and I love what you're bringing to the table, and you're right, right, but everything you're saying, you're right, and those things come, but like you said, when God has something for you, it's for you. So speaking of that, what's next for the Black Wolf app, buddy? What does the future look like?
So the future, man, and I'm just going to give you a quick peek of my POV.
Mm-hmm.
It's $1 billion corporation. Everybody can see it, and myself. Um, we're right now trying to raise capital.
Mm-hmm.
That's where we're at now. And we are reaching out to develop our own team. So we're in a position right now where we're trying to get a not a tech team. We're trying to develop our team, our
Mm-hmm.
core team,
Mm-hmm.
which is the hardest thing. It's just me and my boy PK. We're running everything. We have another guy who helps us with our enrollment and whatnot. But that's where we're at. We're raising fund,
Mm-hmm.
and we're looking for that all-star team to become the ultimate Black Wolf.
I love it. I love it. And look, buddy, you came up with the idea. All you need is those couple things that you're working on right now, that domino to fall, and the wolf will start wolfing again. So I'm really happy for you, buddy. And look, your story is inspirational, because at the end of the day, this is what life is about. Is that there will be trials and tribulations. There will be, storms that we go through, right? But we're
Yep.
never in a storm for a long period of time. We're either going through a storm or we're coming out of a storm. And I really feel, my brother, that you're definitely coming out of a storm. So, real quick, tell us a little bit for the person that's the entrepreneur who's listening to this. They're inspired by what you put together. They want to start something. What advice would you give them?
Let me tell you something. The best advice I would give to anybody, that it doesn't matter what you're trying to start. You got to have a why to be successful. You have to have a why. And then the second thing is the how, right? You know how they say, well, don't worry about how. You have to worry about how, because God gives you every single thing. If you say, you know what, God, I want to make a table, but I don't know how. Well, God will be like, well, I tell you what, go outside. You see all them damn trees? That's your table. We just have to come to a point and understand the things that are around us that we're supposed to use. So that why is going to drive you. My why was the human trafficking. My why was, how can I protect 336 million people at one time? That is my why. And the how is, you figure out how I bring the right people in. Without people and that why, you will never, ever, ever be successful. It's damn near impossible. It is impossible. Even Christ had disciples. So it's impossible without the right team, which God will give you
Mm-hmm.
if you stay on the right path. That's the thing. A
Mm-hmm.
lot of us, we give up, we get weary, and then you're still going after it, but you're on the wrong path. You're on the
Mm-hmm.
wrong side of the damn street. You're going to get hit. Now you got to turn back around. You got to wait 6 more. So again, know your why and know your how. Once you know those, stay on that same path. You're going to get tired. Tony, this is a tiring road. This is tiring, and the amount of money I had to put in. But again, man, I know my why. And I know I can see it. When I say I have dreams daily, Tony, man, I can see this house. I'm like, yes, sir. I can see my office, my cars, my family's happy. I'm able to travel. You see those things, and God gives you the feeling.
Mm-hmm.
And that feeling is what drives you. Even though you may wake up and you don't have no money, you can't buy food, but you. It's easier said than done. It's easier said than done. Like I told you, I feel like I was in the mud. You said, no, you're not in the mud. I'm like, I'm glad you said that, because now you see where I was at. Even though I'm not, it's
Mm-hmm.
hard. It is hard. When God gives you something this heavy, I feel like I got two crosses.
Yeah, but here's the thing, though, buddy. God is with you, and He's still carrying the cross. And if you just keep doing what you're doing, my friend, with that type of attitude you got, and keep believing in Him, He gave you the brain. He's going to give you the solution. You already come up with the solution. Follow your advice in terms of the patience, and keep staying resilient. And buddy, the sun will shine on you again, my brother. And we're going to have you come back on the show when the sun starts shining. And it's already shining, to be fair, okay? But when you get this thing up, because you got something that people want, right? Now all you got to do is just make it happen, right? And you know now what to do to make it happen, okay? So everything happens for a reason, right? But at the end of the day, it's how you see it and how you react to it. And the difference between the people that make it and those that don't, they just see it. The other ones react to it in a positive manner. They learn from it and they keep moving forward. So I'm really excited for you, my brother, because I'm sitting here, this energy, you got me all fired up, and all you're going to do is keep moving forward. So final thoughts for the audience, my man.
Final thoughts is, Always remember the name Kerry King Brown. Always remember the Black Wolf app. We are coming to other cities right now. We're in Atlanta. We're in Florida right now. We're expanding to Texas, California, Vegas, Portland, Washington, New York, the DMV area. We're only going to be in certain places that actually would need the services. We're actually building another platform that's going to be even bigger than the Black Wolf app. But again, always remember to let the world know your name.
You sound like my boy. What was my boy name in the what was that flick? The Troy? What was that? I forget. Achilles.
Yeah, Brad Pitt.
Yeah, Brad Pitt was like, they'll never know your name. All right, so I love it. I love it. But guess what? We do know his name, and his name is Kerry King Brown, CEO, founder of the Black Wolf app, okay, which now I have a relationship with him, which I call him KB. KB, thanks for coming on A Black Executive Perspective, my brother. We wish you nothing but massive success. We know that you're going to have that success, and we're going to have you come back on when you're ready. Sounds great, my brother?
Man, let's do it, brother. I'm happy.
All right, buddy, real happy. So now I think it's time for
Tony's Tidbit.
And look, my brother today, he epitomizes this tidbit that we're going to talk about. The tidbit today is by Charles Swindoll, and the tidbit is, attitude is more important than facts. It's more important than the past, than education, than money, than circumstances, than failures, than successes. It will make or break a company, a church, or a home. The remarkable thing is we have a choice every day regarding the attitude we will embrace for that day. We cannot change our past. We cannot change the fact that people will act in a certain way. We cannot change the inevitable. The only thing we can do is play on the one string we have, and that is our attitude. So I'm convinced that life is 10% of what happens to me and 90% of how I react to it. And that's Charles Swindoll. And again, our guest, Kerry King Brown, epitomizes this tidbit up and down. So I hope you really enjoyed this episode of A Black Executive Perspective Podcast, Innovation and Inclusion, the Black Wolf app story with Kerry King Brown. Tune in to our next episode wherever you get your podcasts, and you can follow A Black Executive Perspective on all our socials of LinkedIn, Twitter, X, YouTube, and Instagram at A Black Exec. For our host, for our guest, Kerry King Brown, for the man behind the glass who makes all this happen, Double A, I am Tony Tidbit. I love you. We've talked about it, and we're out.
A Black Executive Perspective.